simple date pass, I don't know how to say in English.
Okay.
And that base of that would say that that kind of people is making terrorists.
Okay, good. So what I would say is, I'd say, in a way, if you look at the way that argument came out, there were several parts to it, okay? So there's premises. You guys talk about premises a little bit? So, yeah, so claim or premise. So it's like, if you accept this to be true, then this should also be true, okay? So the premise is that there are scarce resources and we need to make tough choices, okay? And if you accept that that's a fact, then the next thing that I said, which normally is quite difficult to accept, becomes easier to accept, that policing and law enforcement isn't equal across everybody. It isn't fair across everybody, because you choose who you look at, okay? So then I said, so policing is focused, not universal, you know, and that could be, you could say, not fair. It's not. We like to think it is, but it's not. Okay? Then what did I say?
That police is condemned by society because of their disproportionality.
Okay, so that's the second argument. Okay? Let's stick with this first one. On this first one, let's try and break it down piece by piece. Because I said lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But what was the really important stuff that I said? What were the building blocks of that argument?
You said that you need to use the bit of information that you already have to continue over that line.
Okay, good. So this was premise one, okay? Then this was the conclusion of that. Then the next thing I said was, we're starting from nothing sometimes. When we start from nothing, we have nothing, not very little information. We need to use the information we have, right? So, starting from nothing, need to use existing info. Okay, so these are all premises. I haven't really told you anything specific at this point, really. I've just told you that if you accept these things, this would be the way to go about it, right? Generally, we understand this is how things should work, okay? Then I said some specific stuff. What was the specific stuff I said?
Our Islamic groups.
Right, this is when I narrowed it down and I said, what we know about terrorism is, I basically said terrorism is Islamic, didn't I? Okay, and I gave you two sources of evidence for that. I gave you successful attacks. So that means when the terrorists, you know, when people have died and we find out who did it. And I also gave you another source which was more difficult to pinpoint. What was that other source?
About the Islamic people? Or
About, when I talked about how do I know that terrorism is Islamic? How do I know that? Why? I know it because 9/11 happened and they were Islamic. How else do I know it? I know lots of other times when a bomb was blown up, the person was Islamic. What else do I know?
When you stop those persons to...
Right, exactly. So I talked about unsuccessful attacks. When the police and the law enforcement catch them before they do.
And they were Islamic.
And then I said they were Islamic as well. Now why am I saying this? Why is this important? The reason I said this is because most people know about big attacks, right? There's not that many of them, really. Okay, I mean I can give you a few examples, right? Unsuccessful attacks. Who knows about them? Sometimes you know about them, but a lot of time you don't because
It's cool.
Covered.
Yes.
okay. Now, so I've given you a justification which is quite difficult for you to attack. Because I can say, I can basically lie with this and tell you that there's loads of attacks which are prevented every day that none of us hear about. And the reason that they're prevented is because of ethnic profiling, because we're looking at terrorist Islamic groups, okay? So bear in mind that when you hear about evidence that's being given to you, which isn't falsifiable, which is difficult to prove wrong, don't try and just attack it. Say, they've given us a piece of evidence which is rubbish, basically. Don't engage with it. Don't say, oh, it's not true. Say, well, you know what, this is a claim that can't be falsified, therefore it's difficult to engage with, there's no point listening to this, okay? Alright, good. So I told you terrorism, Islamic and unsuccessful attacks. And then what was the crux of it?
You also, I mean, I guess it's the same, but you built up you used that kind of threat discourse, didn't you, that kind of thousands and hundreds of people dying, so you kind of ratcheted up the kind of the fear factor and you've got to do something because the consequences are so great if you don't, kind of thing.
Alright. Now this is something else that you're going to come up against. Costs are very high for inaction or inactivity. Now, this is an interesting part of this debate because does it make it any more intelligent for me to pursue a certain line of investigation if the outcome is worse than something else? Well, let me rephrase that because that wasn't very clear. So there's two crimes, okay? One is a bomb which is going to kill 10,000 people, and the other one is somebody doing insurance fraud, okay? They're two crimes, okay? Let's say that there's one way of approaching both of those crimes, even though they're different. Does the fact that one is about blowing up a building and one is about relatively low-level crime, does that affect how I should approach that crime? Why?
Because of the importance of the well-being of the society.
Okay. So let's assume that when I'm approaching both crimes, I'm doing the best I can. I'm making the most intelligent choices to solve that crime. Okay, let's just accept that, right? So if that's what I'm doing for both of those crimes, does the impact of the crime make any difference? Because I'm doing everything I can to solve them, regardless of what the impact is going to be. Does the impact make a difference?
Does emotionally, doesn't it?
Right, does emotionally. Does it make a difference in terms of any other way?
Not that intellectually, it does.
Kind of lives affected.
Right. What I'm trying to get at for you to challenge this is basically, it doesn't matter whether one person is going to die or whether 1 million people are going to die. The right thing to do, the clever thing to do, the best thing to do is going to be the same. Okay? It doesn't matter. So all of this talk about millions are going to die and blah, 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 that's right, it's all just air. It's all just hot air. Because actually, policing is about getting a solution to the problem. That's what it's about. It's not about, oh, we're scared, oh, people are going to die, we've got to do something. Like, no, don't do something, do the clever thing, do the right thing, do the best thing. Don't just do something because you're scared of what will happen if you don't. You understand that kind of line of argument, okay? So, in these debates, you're going to get a lot of this fear talk. Be afraid, be afraid. Lots of people are going to die, it's terrible, it's horrible, it's horrible, it's terrible, okay? That shouldn't impact on intelligent policing. Intelligent policing is intelligent policing, and it doesn't matter whether it's for terrorism or whether it's for stealing £20 from, you know, an ice cream van. It doesn't matter.